all out too.
Yeah.
How's the weather? I know you guys are just spoiled rotten with the temperature.
Yeah, weather is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Yeah, I think we're probably, what did we hit today? About 80? I can't see the thermometer outside. But
Product research is hard.
oh, we hit 98 today.
Oh,
But in
my
Vegas,
goodness.
that's gorgeous. That's a gorgeous day in Vegas.
That's right.
Are people getting sick out there or what?
Chris,
I mean, are people like? Is it like, a big thing? Hospitals and all that.
I don't watch news. I don't have
Good.
what's going on as far as the virus is concerned and all that stuff. I don't watch the news. Yeah, I just do what I do.
Everything back
I don't
open?
I don't even keep up with that. Everything is open though. They're just making people wear masks everywhere,
Yeah.
but everything's open. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'll just be happy when this is all over with.
God, I'm presuming they got the brightest minds and everything working on it. So round up, family. Come on in. Comes on in. We got a good one for you this evening. Tony and I met. I guess James met about a year ago at the Jay Connor event. You guys just have so much positive energy. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we actually, I think we were probably on a call prior to that, though. We had a call prior to the Jay Connor event.
I mean, we met in person. That's
We
all.
met in person at the Jay Connor event.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
You guys are just good people. Round up. So we're going to be going over a bunch of stuff tonight, talking about the main thing I was just shocked that I thought I was doing something when I sold a house 3 times in a year. But it's I thought I was doing something when I sold the same house 3 times in a year. Always somebody bigger fish out there. Always a bigger fish. So round up, welcome. We got Tony McCandles and James. Good evening. How y'all doing?
We are awesome. Oh, you're right. You're in the camera. Yeah.
That beautiful smile.
Yeah, we're awesome. Awesome, James. We're excited.
Round up. This is Chris Ashkins. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. Doing that, I get to hang out with a bunch of phenomenal investors, people that are doing amazing things around the country, and we got Las Vegas in the building. Are you doing conventional rentals right now? Just go collect security deposit rent?
No.
Both y'all heads is like, hey, no. Tell me, for my round-uppers that don't quite understand, tell me why you don't do conventional rentals before we get to all the moving parts of this selling a house more than once in a year.
You want to go or you want me to go?
You go. You're hot. Let's do this.
So after listening to Chris, it just made so much sense. I got so excited about the information he put out. And it was like, oh my God, are you telling me that we can actually collect money on the front end? We can collect some money in the middle. Then we can turn around and sell the house and collect money on the back end.
You might sell it. You never know, if you will.
Right? And if we don't sell the house and they move out, then we will collect money on the front end again. So this has happened with the same house 4 times. So,
People think, I know, I can read through the internet. They're like, they're lying. I don't believe it. It's weird. Doubt. Well, let me ask you, I so much we're going to talk about doubt. That doubt is big, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and the funny thing is when I saw your video, when I first started watching your videos, you were just so genuine. I didn't have it was like just watching somebody I knew anyway. But you were so genuine and just like so down to earth with it. I said, he's got to be telling the truth about this stuff. And then you were on. I'm just gonna keep it real. Then you were on with Eddie.
Oh yeah, my boy.
Right, and I'm sitting there watching one of your videos, and I called my daughter and I said, "You got to see this. You got to see what they're doing." I said, "This is nuts." And I said, "If these two crazy guys can do it, I know I can do this, right?"
You look way better than we do, by the way. I mean, I'm just gonna be real with that.
Oh boy. So then, I showed my daughter your video. She was like, "Well, Mom, I know Eddie." She said, "I went to school with his wife." I was like, "Okay, so these people
Holy cow!
I was like, these people are closer to us than I thought." So I was like, "Yeah, these are real people. Let me just follow the steps." So I followed Chris's steps, and man, here we are. Um, we've sold this house 4 times. We probably on the front, just in option fees, about 45 grand.
Is this the same one that we? Go ahead.
That's right. And I notice every time we work out a contract, I would say, "What are we selling it for this time?" First time, I think that house. Let's put it under contract. We'll tell them it's 120,000. The next time she says, "I think it's 125 now." It's like 2 months later. Last time we just put this last one said 140, and she's got them paying the HOA fees. I said, "Is there anything we can get?" Every time she sweetens the deal a little bit more. Started out like 10,000 down. Now she's like, "They got to have 15, or we're not even going to talk to them." So,
All right, let me bring everybody up to speed. Round up. I want to bring you down to earth here. What we're talking about here is lease options. Lease options, okay, round up. We don't do conventional rentals. I have one. And I don't know why I keep those people in the house. They pay late every month. But anyway, lease option. I'm presuming. Now, tell me about, you bought it subject to, or how'd you buy this one?
Yep. So we bought it subject to the existing no.
So you bought it subject to.
I think what did we get it for, James? About 90.
we got it for free. She owed 88, so I guess we owed 88.
Just y'all did, okay. You just basically took over her payments.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're in the house. When you picked it up, were you thinking conventional rental? When you got it, what were you thinking? Exit strategy.
We were already thinking subject to, because by then Tony had turned me on to what you guys were teaching, and so we were looking exactly for that. So that's what we did from the start.
Lease option.
Right. From the beginning.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
Absolutely.
So tell me about this. Tell me about these people that you deal with. Some people just find it hard to believe that somebody will give you a down payment to move into a property. And did you do any repairs? I'm trying to remember. I don't know this one.
Not really. First time, all we did was change the locks.
Oh my goodness. Now, elaborate a little bit on that. Give me a little comparison and contrast to what you would have had to do for a conventional rental and what you did for a lease option tenant.
Man.
Well, first of all, it's out in Arkansas. We would have probably had to start by power washing everything, because they've got all that green moss that gets on everything.
Okay.
Like that. So we probably would have done that. We probably would have repainted inside and outside.
Paint. So that's what, another $2,000? How much would that be, James?
We could have easily dropped $20,000 flipping this house in a normal sense. Probably would have replaced flooring. Probably, a lot of things were dated, stuff like that. And then Tony says no. She said, "Let them go in there and look. You just tell them the house is available and that you're willing to do owner financing." She said, "Let them go in and look instead of you telling them what needs to be done and all that." So.
Is that okay? I like that. Let them tell you.
Right. So
go ahead.
So she went in, and the conversation we had with them is they say, "It looks like it needs new flooring." And we say, "We're okay with you doing anything you want to the house, but if you decide you're going to start tearing walls out or something like that, you're going to need permission to do that. But any cosmetics you want to do, go ahead." So that's how we answer the question of them telling us what needs to be done. Instead of saying, "Okay, we'll replace the carpet," we tell them, "And you're fine to go ahead and replace carpet if you want to. That's up to you." So we kind of get over to that. Then also, as soon as they're in there, the very first time they call me for a quote unquote landlord issue, instead of answering the question, I tell them I don't really know. I'm the bank, but if it's an electrical issue, I'm going to say electrician. If it's plumbing issue, probably want to do that,
James, you're crazy. So Tony, were you thinking? I'm trying to just picture. I want to picture you. Was it counterintuitive for you to not do the repairs as the people were going over there? I'm just thinking for me, it's like I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do these repairs, make it pretty.
Yeah,
When I first started,
tranquilized me because I have a background in rehabbing.
oh shit!
Just about had to have me subdued. And the first time, by the fourth time, I'm telling them, "What are you talking about? So the door is in the floor. That's not a problem." Not a problem. So the door's not missing. Okay, that's good news.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So and we haven't had any major issues with anyone that's moved out. I mean, it's been night and day difference, from what I've experienced from normal rentals, where you got to go in and they've messed up your house and you got a lot of money to spend before you can put somebody else in there. And that has not been the case. And, I think James has this method that he uses, and this lingo that he uses when a person is moving out, that actually makes them feel like I need to leave it like I found it. So,
I want to hear about that. Before we get to moving out, let's get them in real quick. I gotta hear that one, James. You're real smooth, brother.
Learned it all on this channel, Chris.
No. I think you're pretty smooth before we met. I think you're pretty smooth, brother. Round up. If you're just joining us, we have Tony and James here. They did a lease option last year. They sold a house 4 times within a little time, right around a year. And the most for me is 3 in a year, and I'm only getting 3,000 to 4,000 down. Tell us about these people, Tony, James, around up. Put your questions in the chat box for lease options. If you have questions for lease options, tell us about these people that you're dealing with that would give you $10,000 down. Who are these crazy people who are they?
Well, for starters, we advertise that way. So we say minimum, whatever our down payment's going to be. We'll either say minimum 10,000 down or minimum 15,000 down. No bank required. And then, of course, when people start responding to that, we answer their questions. Now, one thing I've noticed is most of our advertising the last 3 times has been through Messenger, Facebook Messenger,
Marketplace, yeah.
So you're like this. You're like on the phone almost.
Right. So this was really strange. People would say, well, how much is the total payoff on the house, for instance? That's a common question that comes across. So normally I would say, by then we're up to 140K, whatever the number is. So we'd say 10, and then I would do a capital K. And they would say, wow, that's a lot. Now, one day I'm driving, and instead of bothering with that little capital K, I did a small K, and somebody said, wow, that's not bad.
Subliminal.
Right. So then I mentioned this to Tony. We start noticing
small K.
This whole little text war is all about don't capitalize anything. It's all about lowercase. Anytime you want to de-emphasize something, I guess you'd say, or you don't want to emphasize it.
Lowercase.
But exactly the same wording, and we tested this a little bit. Exactly the same wording. Would you say, we can put you in for as little as 15K down, little K, as 140 little K payoff, that kind of thing. Okay, great. But then when you start putting capitals on things, you get all kinds of reactions to it. That's one thing we noticed right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Are these people? Tell me about like the typical applicant, guys. Are they handymen? Are they foreigners? Are they people that have lost their jobs, bankruptcy?
Look, let me say one more thing about the messenger, if I could, before we get off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Marketplace. Regardless of who they are, what I do is I have a whole paragraph that I hit them. As soon as they say, like, is this available? I send them the term, who I'm looking for, all of that right on the front end. I tell them, you're going to have a 2-year lease. You're going to have a down payment that will apply to the payoff on the house. You're going to go through credit repair. I have all that in a paragraph. So as soon as
Copy paste.
it's available, I throw out a bunch of fish hooks right then.
Mhm.
So
Copy paste.
yes, yes. And so who they are, once we got really good at that, was a lot more streamlined. In the beginning, we would just answer their questions, but you know how this is. They don't really know what to ask. So you've got to have somebody who's really persistent to ever really have a meeting of the mind.
They get
So
you upset one.
we kind of, rather than doing that, started figuring out, okay, all of these questions come up at some point. Let's go ahead and start having this paragraph that we blast to them in the beginning. And what would you say, Tony? Just kind of streamlining.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Just
At the very beginning. I like that. So we copy and paste. No doubt a lot of that is already on the ad that they didn't read.
Right.
Tell my round-uppers about that too. I mean, this stuff can really get you hot, get you upset if you let it. So, because people just see it, they just hit a button. I can see Tony shaking her. Tell my viewers, people think that people read these ads. You can put, I will pay you $1 million to read this ad to the end, and I promise you, no one will read it.
You gotta tell them about that. That one text that lady kept texting you. The same crazy question over and over again.
Over and over again.
Over and over again. I just kind of smile. And another thing I do is, on Messenger, you can actually click on somebody's profile.
Yeah.
And the first thing they have is all their selfies they took in their bathroom and their living room.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see what kind of dogs they got running around. You know what I mean? You can see a whole lot about how they keep house. Because even though you're selling this house, you're going to get it back at some point, most likely. So I just take a look and I say, okay, this person actually keeps a nice house. I see a Christmas tree. I see the kids have clothes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a very fast way to get some kind of idea who you're messaging with,
Very quick. You can see, it's the first place we go. Don't people know that? I mean, the first place I'm going to go is see you smoking weed and drinking and stuff on Facebook. I mean, I don't know why people.
Right.
So you got people coming in. You've already pre-screened them, so they're not even going to look at the house until they know how much financial down payment you're looking for.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You guys are gangster, man. That's gangster with that. You guys are serious with that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Nah.
But it's good though. I mean, you gotta waste your time. You don't waste time.
That's right. That's right.
As far as who they are, though, they typically have some kind of income. Either they have a job, or maybe both people are working, or they've got some kind of assistance that they've got, that kind of thing. They've got some kind of ongoing income, though. We haven't seen anybody that came along that said, I could just pay this off, but I'm not. So they're really all in that spot where they need a house, they've got some money to put down, they don't want to just throw it all away on rent. And so that's kind of a repetitive hot button for them. We're not having to advertise, but if I did, I'd be thinking about that all the time. Every time these people say, hey, at least I'm not throwing my money away on rent, they all know that line. And it's a hot button for everybody. That
sounds like we probably should. I need to add that. Stop throwing your money away on rent into the ad.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tell them that we require them to go through credit repair so that they can actually get their own financing, we finish that off by telling them, now, if the credit repair company gets you into position before your lease is over, there's no penalty. If you want to go ahead and apply for a mortgage at any time, just let us know. We'll provide them a pay record showing them that you've been making on-time payments, so forth. So now it's in the back of their mind, if I'm not making on-time payments, I'm messing myself up.
You got some neuro-linguistic programming going on, Brother James.
You recognize that.
You got some real programming. So, go ahead.
I said NLP.
That's right. So, these people moving in, so you're actually assisting them with credit. Are you paying for that out of your own pocket?
No, we just write it into the lease that they're required to use one, and then we give them a choice of who to use.
So are you staying on top of them with that?
No.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out which one you are. Both are fine. You got one landlord rides the tenants to make sure that they're on top of everything, and then you got guys like me. I give you the information. I'm done with it. So are you in the middle of it? Where are you at?
Neither of those. We just want them to make their payments on time, and you know, then we get around to that part where they decide for whatever reason that they need to move out.
Let's get to that. Well, you are giving them the credit repair information though.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you're doing that, but you're not writing them to make sure that did you turn this in? Did you do that? Did you
No.
pay this off? Okay.
We got to give them some kind of responsibility.
Yeah, I hear you. So they moved in, and it's weird. I think go ahead.
Sorry, Chris. There was a lag.
Oh, I think the biggest down payment that I've had someone walk away from was $25,000. It just blew my mind, you know. So I know this happens, but where they've moved in, tell me about. Just give me a scenario how this kind of works, because your people are only staying a few months.
Well, so they call and they say, looks like something happened, and I need to move out.
Life issue or somebody died?
My down payment, how much of my down payment can I get back? And then I tell them, well, if you're in a position to get a mortgage on the house right now, you could do that, and you could actually get the whole thing because it would apply to that. But that's the only way you could actually get because we actually have an option to buy the house. All right, then I'll say, in a position to buy the house, or you just need to break your lease. Once I say break your lease, it's a horse of another color now, right?
They ain't like that.
No, because then I'm going to say, if you need to break your lease, you know, you're responsible for the cost of us getting a new tenant in there. So you're still responsible for the rent till we find somebody else. Of course, any repairs that need to be made, cleaning the house. How clean are you going to be able to leave the house? Now, let me ask you this: how soon are you going to be able to get out of there? Because if maybe I could turn this thing around in a week or two, I'm going to do what I can to make sure you're not stuck with that. But, you know, if this drags out into, you know, one guy said, well, I read my lease. I've got 60 days to get out. And I said, you do, but I promise you take that full 60 days, you're going to be on the line for that lease. So let's talk about Friday. How are you looking for Friday to get out? I said, I want to go to bat for you, but I'm not going to jerk anybody else around either. So what does Friday look like?
Wow.
He was in Dallas, 6 hours away, but he says, okay, Friday we'll be down there. We'll get everything out. We'll leave the house clean. And I said, if you can do that, if you can call me Sunday night and say that Monday morning I could move somebody else in, I'm going to get a hold of somebody and make sure that you don't have to worry about your lease. We'll take care of the rest of it from there. So he called me that Sunday night late, and I'd actually forgot he was up there doing anything, but he called me late, and he says, and he sounded tired, like he walked from Dallas, you know. He said, we've got everything in the U-Haul. We've got the truck loaded up, but he says, I've got like half a truck bed full of stuff left in there. There's just nowhere we can put it. Is there any way I could have till next week to get the rest of that stuff out of there and to come back and clean the house? So I gave him a dramatic pause for about 30 seconds. And then I said, so what is actually left in the house? Well, this and this and a chair, and, you know, I said, okay. And how long is it going to take you to actually get in there and clean it? And he tells us. So I said, all right, I'll get right back with you. So then a couple minutes later, I sent him, okay, you've got till next Friday to go ahead and get the last of that out of there and get it clean. And they did. They got it clean. But it's just sort of a posturing to let them know that lease, which is kind of like the weakest part up front when you're doing it, they're a lot more concerned with everything else than what that lease lingo is. But it's just to let them know later that lease actually does have teeth, and they've got to agree to what they signed on that lease, which is they are responsible for loss of rent until we find another tenant to replace them.
Mm-hmm. Now, no doubt, you're not thinking about that lease, are you? At that time, you're just thinking about getting it cleaned up and putting it back on the market. Is that where your head is?
That's where it is, but I'm trying to put myself in their mental space, which is they're thinking, hey, I haven't been here that long. Let me see if I can get part of my down payment back. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to switch that conversation immediately over to the only way you get that is if you buy the house. Yeah. And if you're not in a position to buy the house, but you leave, you're going to be breaking your lease. And so then I explain what that means to them. And that's the conversation that I want to have, because that's what's going to motivate them to leave everything intact and get out as fast as they can.
Right.
So
basically, I just want to make sure I understand they're responsible for the lease until we find a new tenant.
That's right. And for the cost of advertising, any damages, etc.
Wow, man, that's something.
Tony's lease. You wouldn't want to be in his lease.
Yeah, y'all probably wouldn't went to me. I would be like, man, you crazy. But
And another thing, and another thing. That's all in her lease, I promise you.
Roundup, if you're just joining us, we have Tony and James doing it. They did a lease option. They sold the house 4 times over the last year and some change. Please get your questions in for the chat box. I understand this stuff. I don't do rental repairs, except for my Section 8 stuff. But I want you guys to understand, because Tony and James do. Are you relatively new to lease options?
Well, I think
James been doing it, right?
A year ago, So I guess that was our first one a year ago.
You guys.
And we've got one that we don't have yet, but it is a monster out here in Vegas.
What's that one?
Looks like, I haven't seen this house yet, but the man said it shows like a castle. This very wealthy man bought this house. It's a house worth about $700,000 in a very nice neighborhood, gated community.
Mm-hmm.
And the man bought it so that several of his family members could live together, but they started fighting about who has what bedroom and this and that. And then he said, forget it. And now he's wanting somebody to step in and take over it. There's not enough room for what should be there.
Yeah.
So, we've got a few bird dogs out in the street working for us. And one of them called and said, okay, we've got a guy on the line that wants out of his mortgage on this house. And it looks like there's probably somewhere around 30 to 40,000 in equity already.
What's at that price range? What's the price range?
700,000.
Yeah, that's in my mind, 30, 40,000 equals zero.
That's right. Because the first thing I'm going to go in there as a contractor is I'm going to go in with my contractor hat on and I'm going to say, well, okay, here's what I see. $30,000 worth of just getting this place cleaned up and ready to market.
You might have mentioned realtor fees.
Here you have deferred maintenance that offsets it.
Yeah, that's done.
Right.
That's done. The realtor fees, yeah, you're nothing. So as you're moving the people in, they moved in. I want to get back to this lease option. So my roundup is, were you as the people were moving in, did you think that, I'm trying to think, where were you thinking? Were you a little nervous? Did you think you were going to have to do some repairs? Were you just, like for me, I was like, I know they're going to ask me to do something. I mean, there's no way that somebody's going to move in this thing as is. Is that where were you at as you were pre-approving people, and how did you pre-approve them? Was it the down payment?
Primarily.
Down payment. And, there are times when, we would negotiate with a person, or a person would be trying to negotiate with us, and, we'd let them know, if you want a lower rent, then, we need a bigger down payment. And I think that's what we did with this last person, and it worked pretty well.
So they can give a little bit more of a down payment for a discount on the monthly rent.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
I think that you can't lose. You're getting, like, you just explain it to my round. I mean, is security deposit. Let's say, what is the rent on that house?
I think we got the rent at $1,025.
$10,000, right?
$1,025,000, right?
$10,000. You got a security. I'm just trying to make sure I paint this picture. If you get $10,000 up front, let's just leave it at that. You got 10 months of rent right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I don't care. My thing is, I don't care if you ever pay rent again. I got 10 months up front. Help them. I just want to know your thought process so we can maybe help my viewers to kind of understand that you're so far ahead of the game with these options as opposed to a security deposit.
Yeah. Well, I think with as far as a security deposit, one, you got to give that back if the tenant has done what the contract says they need to do in order to get that security deposit back. And that's what it is. It's a deposit.
Always a back and forth, yeah.
And of course, with the option fee, it's a fee. It's non-refundable, and we go through lengths to make sure that people understand that it's non-refundable. On the contract, we've got on, well, you know what the paperwork look like, your paperwork. But on the contract, it's got, on the CYS where they need to initial, and then also in the, also in the contract, in anywhere where it says non-refundable, I put another space for them to initial. So they have to, they have to put extra initials anywhere where it says non-refundable deposit, because I don't want them coming back saying, oh, I didn't see that.
That's right.
Well, I missed that. Well,
That's true.
You signed it. You signed off on it multiple times. So
an initial, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have another little piece of verbiage that I use right there too, Chris. I say, what's your whatever the amount is? Let's say that it's $15,000. I tell them what this $15,000 agreement is this is something to tie my hands. Even if somebody walks in tomorrow and they offer me twice what you're going to pay for the house, I cannot sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It's money that you're giving me so that you're the only person who can buy it during a set length of time that matches your lease, after which time I can sell it.
Gotcha.
The first option to buy the house during that length of time, and I cannot sell it out from underneath you, no matter what the offer is.
Mm-hmm.
Unilateral agreement. You have to sell to him. He does not have to buy from you. He doesn't have to buy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Round up, get your questions in. We're gonna get some Q&A at the end. I had you guys for 30 minutes. So as they're moving out, whatever happens, tell me, how do you feel as you're having to resell this property, guys?
I've got a little confession to make about the lease. We were talking about the lease has everything in it. So when we've got somebody ready, Tony sends me the lease, and then I go through the process of getting things signed typically. And this last time, she saw me throwing away some paperwork at the end, and she said, "What is that?" I happen to be out here in Vegas, and she says, "What is that?" And I said, "That's the last 2 pages is where they move in and they sign off on everything in there is good to go." It's kind of a renter's inspection sheet. So they're going to garbage disposal, everything else. So I've been discarding those papers, and my reason is that makes a lot of sense in a renter standpoint, but as a landlord, that doesn't make as much sense.
Right.
I'm the bank. If they want to fix something on the house, go ahead. But I've been getting rid of that little piece of paper, that little checklist. So my feeling is when they move in and they go through there, I already know certain things in the house don't really pass, what I would want them to be if it was just a straight up rental. And I'm giving them the opportunity to fix anything in their home that they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go ahead and discard that piece of paper, because it would sort of that would be my repair list. I would get them in, they would have a lease. Then they look at that, they get to walk through and tell me, I'm missing 2 light bulbs, I've got a switch that's a little funky, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I might end up with a repair list right out of the gate, because I gave them the opportunity to go through there and nitpick the house. So I just throw those right in the trash. That last signature that says, how many pets they're going to have, and they agree to this and this and this. When I get that last signature, that little checklist goes right in the trash for me.
Gotcha.
And so when they move out, I'm aware that there were some things that weren't quite right when they moved in from a maintenance standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're seeing is, surprisingly, and I've dealt with a lot of rental property, we're seeing them leave the house in fairly good condition versus somebody that just came in and tore it up with rent and left.
Right. Y'all should do a video so people will understand. I'm so glad you guys are doing it, because y'all obviously follow my content. I'm just trying to beat into people's heads. I'm like, stop doing repairs. Stop fixing these houses up.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen some of the houses, Chris, that
you wouldn't even. Your houses are way better than mine.
I'm telling you, it was so hard to get James to understand.
That's true.
This little stuff, you worried about this little imperfect spot on the floor. And I'm like, let me find this video of this house that Chris sold so you can get a clue.
I took you right
and I'm
in there.
the house that you sold ain't got no bathroom floor, something crazy.
We're having a good time, guys.
Yeah,
We're laughing now, but this is serious. And it is for somebody that doesn't comprehend. They got to just, you got to
Right.
get over it.
right.
James seems to be a little analytical too, so I can see him not wanting to. I can feel he might want to have a nice, pretty house when the tenant rolls up.
Yes, and old habits do die hard, but they do die. I am a learning robot. I am trainable.
But Tony had to get in there and shake up. Roundup is I want people to know that it's not just you. Roundup, it's not just you that wants to have a pretty house. Oh, we got to do the floors. We got to paint. We got to clean it up. We got to do this. We got to make sure that.
Yeah.
Man, it's not just you. It's James. It's me. It's Tony. It's everybody. You have to change the way we're thinking, y'all. That's all.
And you got to use your judgment. If there's like a chalk line on the floor where somebody got shot, you got to use your own judgment.
Yeah, you might want to rip that out. But did you feel okay collecting? I think when people are like, how dare you collect the rent, the security option fee several times on the same house? I get a lot of hate email for that. Tell me how you felt as you were collecting that money, going to the bank, cashing the check. How did it feel okay?
Well, I'll tell you what it feels like for me, and then James can shoe in. But for me, every time we actually put somebody in a house, our intentions don't change. Our intention is to put somebody in a home who can't qualify for a loan right now, right?
Through a bank.
Right, through a traditional bank or through traditional means. They can't qualify for a loan, but we're giving them a shot at home ownership. And then the other thing that I think about is the $10,000 or $15,000 that they gave us. That does come off of the purchase price that we agreed upon, right? So now we're actually, lessening, that blow when they actually go to get a loan for that house.
Yeah.
Now we've had some people, tell us, well, I'm still paying this monthly amount, and I still feel like, this monthly amount isn't going towards, it isn't bringing the balance down. So then what I have to educate them on, or, tell James to mention to them, when you go to a bank to purchase a home, do you have any idea how long it takes for you to see a reduction in your balance? You're going to be paying, you know what I mean? You're going to be
They don't
paying
even know. Yeah.
money for years before you even start seeing a reduction in your balance.
12, 13, yeah, on an amortization table.
Absolutely. So our intention is always the same, and that's the hopefully we're putting somebody in a position where they're in a home, they love the home, and James always tells me about how it just felt right for this particular family, so it still feels good, even if we're collecting $10,000-$15,000 every time. Well, every time we really are expecting that person to purchase the home.
Your intent.
Right.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It's not like you're like, I'm going to take the money and then I'm going to force you to not be able to buy it. Right. You're still trying to get them to buy the house. Good for you. Yeah. So you don't give them a monthly credit to the principal pay down.
We have done that before in the past, but people still move out anyway. So.
James, how about you? Round up, let me make sure I reintroduce you. Tony, we got Tony and James here we got 60 people on here watching to hear what you guys are talking about. Lease options, selling a house 3 to 4 times in a year or a year and a half or whatever. Get your questions in for James and Tony. Go ahead, James. What's your opinion on that? How are you feeling when you're collecting several security deposit option fees?
I feel good about it because we found somebody else that wants that house, and their pride of ownership, due to the way we talked to them in the beginning, their pride of ownership starts early. Mm-hmm. And I do get a little bit personal with them in that first paragraph that I send them explaining what the deal is, I end that by saying I bought my first house this way.
Nice.
Meaning through somebody that was willing to do owner financing.
Mm-hmm.
When they talk about the house, they say, what kind of house is it? And I tell them it's a beautiful house. In fact, I wish I could have moved into this house, but a few things didn't line out for me. But, you know, I definitely like the house. It's a place that I would personally love to live, but you should go look at it yourself.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned is before you get too far down into the nitty gritty of what the deal is actually going to be, you got to let them look at the house, because if they see the house and they want it, doesn't really matter what you say. They're gonna get that house.
They're gonna make it work.
When they haven't seen the house and they don't have any kind of emotional attachment to it, it's that thing they say about you can't say the wrong thing to the right person and vice versa.
That's such a good point.
Of having the house they're in, and it's a whole lot easier process, and you don't waste as much time with somebody who's just kicking tires.
Yeah.
Man, that is such a good point. That's a good point.
That's true. And as a matter of fact, the person that's in there now, when she went to go look at the house, as James had told him, somebody else was going to be looking at it too. And what did she tell you?
She said, my dad's going to be down here in 2 weeks from another state, and he's going to go down and look at the house and see if he thinks it's a good deal. And I said, did you put the key back in the lockbox? Because I've got another family going to look at it right now, and I think they really want it. So she says, yes, we put it back. And then about 2 or 3 minutes later, she says, can you ask them to leave the house, please? Because we want it.
Wow.
That little thing about jealousy, gentlemen, it doesn't just work in dating. It works in real estate too.
Fear of Miss FOMO. Fear of Miss. Well, I'm just saying, you don't even negotiate. I tell people, look, why are we negotiating? You might look at the house and hate it. Why am I even trying to get you in the house? I'm saying that to say, you don't even. Why are we talking about numbers when you haven't even seen it yet?
Right. And I've had people that went out and they sounded like they were positive on the phone, and then they go look at the house and they call and they say it won't meet our needs, didn't like the house, whatever.
There you go.
Too
So
far.
you wasted all that time, 10, 15 minutes negotiating. They get there, they don't even like the house.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, when they love the house, that's half the job of selling it right there.
Yes, man, that's such a good point. Good point. Well, I had you for 40 minutes, y'all. We got a bunch of questions here. I would love to get to see who we could help around the country here tonight.
Okay.
You guys are smooth with this, man. Lease options. Oh my Lord. I
just do rinse and repeat.
I had to twist their arm, by the way, Roundup. I had to take their arm and put it behind their back and say, stop doing these repairs. We don't know what repair. Nah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I'm just glad we listened. So glad we listened.
Tyler, somebody got a subject to deal. iSeek is good for you. Tyler from Atlanta, what platforms do you market your properties? Zillow, Facebook? That's a good question. Did you for the market? I think you talked about that earlier.
We use Facebook Marketplace mainly, and it really is going to depend on. It's going to be different for everybody depending on the area that you're in. For some areas, Craigslist will work like a charm. For instance, like here in Vegas, you got that stuff all over Craigslist, and Craigslist is big here. In Arkansas, where that house is, Craigslist it's pretty much dead. Like people don't even really use Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook Marketplace is big there. So that's the platform that we use there. But you really have to see what's actually hot in your area.
And you can do a test. Whenever around the country, I just do a test. Go to the platform and type in owner finance or rent to own or lease option. See what comes up.
Absolutely.
And one thing Tony's been doing lately, every time she talks to a real estate agent, she tells them that she does owner financing on homes. So you have somebody that didn't quite make it there with their financing, and you want to give them my number. If we work something out, I'll take care of you. She doesn't use the word kickback. I don't think they're allowed to take kickbacks. But she says, I'll take care of you. So I don't really know what that means. I'm assuming it's homemade fudge or what is it?
James.
Definitely not a kickback, but it's some kind of consideration. I don't know what it is.
Too much. So did y'all use signs? I know I still love the house for sale cash. I'm not, what is it? What do we use? Rent to own signs.
In this community, we can't deploy signs.
Oh, they're picking them up quick?
Not just that, they don't allow them at all. They actually fine the homeowner if you have them there. So they're very strict there.
Well, can't do that then.
But we have used signs and balloons and everything else for selling flip houses. So I mean, they definitely work if it's in an area where you're allowed to deploy those.
Gotcha. Tyler, do you ask for tenant referrals from the potential lease option from their previous landlord? Good question.
No, we don't. But when they're leaving and we tell them to leave the house in place and everything like that, we also say, you know, if you are moving into another place and you need me to speak to somebody and let them know that you did leave the house in good condition, you were a good tenant, etc. We do offer that on the back end.
Good. Yeah, if you're getting 10 to 15,000 down, who asked that question? Tyler, you don't have to get as much of a referral.
Right.
I don't care if they don't pay the rent. People are like, what if they move in and don't pay? I'm like, do you think I care? I got 10 grand. I don't even care if they never pay. I don't even think, I need to get my rounduppers to understand the concept. Be ahead of the game. Like when you get the down payment, you're ahead of the tenant as opposed to the security deposit when the tenant's ahead of you.
Right.
Real estate, Rod, what's up? When the tenant buyer cashes you out, who covers the closing costs if that were to happen, which very rarely does it happen?
Well, I mean, that's just all in the negotiations.
Yeah,
so it's probably going to vary from situation to situation. If it's a tenant who, buyer, if they actually purchase the property and they need some help with closing costs, and we can help them get in that position, then we would do that. But your tenant may not even require that or ask that of you, and if that's the case, then I'm not going to offer.
Just wait for it to happen. Well, the good thing about it is the icing on the cake for you is, I'm presuming you have a 30-year AM on this house?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
So your principal's going down every month. I mean, you got plenty of room after a few years. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Randy, hey, thank you so much, Randy. Oh, I'm sorry. Randy. Luxury car. Hey, what's up, luxury car store? Since James and Tony tell the tenants they are required to do credit repair and give them a list of companies to use, are you giving the tenants a list of credit repair affiliate links? Oh, I guess they can get paid too.
We're not.
But you know what? After that comment, I will.
And I want to say I already thought of that, but no, I kind of feel like the volume we're doing right now isn't there, but I think if somebody was doing more of it, they could.
Okay, that's some volume.
Maybe that's something we put together for the Roundup family, and we run that through there, because each individual person out there isn't doing enough volume, but you put the whole Roundup family together, that's quite a bit then.
You're right, yeah, around the country. That's a good point. Yeah. Sylvia, do you give any money back to the tenant if they move out quickly, or are they SOL, Sylvia?
We'll count SOL as surely out of luck. No, we don't. We don't give any money back when they have to move out.
Yeah, poor thing. You got to go sell a house again. Golly, I tell you.
It is a hard job.
Again, we're letting them know that we're letting them out of the lease if they do this and this. So we're going to allow them to break lease on the condition that they leave timely and they leave it tidy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trevor, Florida is, he's in Florida. Is there a max amount of time you will reset the lease option within the same year? I'm guessing he's talking about with a new tenant, maybe?
We want to ask that one, James. Is there a max amount of time you would reset the lease option? If a tenant would stay in there long enough, we could probably answer that question a little better, but we haven't had a tenant to actually stay in the house for a year.
Unbelievable.
Well, they're literally only there for a few months.
Unbelievable.
But, we would hope that someone would actually go through the entire process.
Trevor from Florida also wants to know, do you put any repairs into the house between tenants? And if you do, offer the credit repair during the lease option? I guess those are two questions.
You can answer that one.
We have it cleaned. We have the utilities on, so we make sure that the plumbing's not leaking, something like that.
But
Keep it very, very minimal, but at the same time, I don't want somebody coming into any kind of filth. But
Yeah.
cleaning is cheap. You can get a house cleaned top to bottom for $200 or $300.
Yeah. We talked about that credit repair earlier. Diabolical witness. Good chat. Good chat. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Get your questions in, Roundup. Tyler, do you market the property before taking over the payments?
well, I guess it's kind of simultaneous. I guess we did it simultaneously. But when we were in the process of closing, I was already at, make sure we can go ahead and start marketing this property.
Mm-hmm.
We had this past time, we had over 300 people that responded through Marketplace.
Wow.
So, we are keeping those. When you cancel a listing, you have the opportunity to keep those messages or discard them.
Yeah.
And I chose to keep those messages so that I could actually reactivate that ad if I want to, and say anything I want to all of them. Anything I put on that new ad and I posted is like a blast to the last 300 people that came in kicking tires.
Nice. Jermaine. Hey, Jermaine, what's up, brother? In North Carolina, what are your acquisition strategies? Lease options, sub-2, owner finance, all of the above.
How it used to be all of the above, but now it's up to.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Chris.
Take over those payments, dog.
Yeah, take over the foot. Right. Used to be of it. It's sub two rules.
Best way to buy a house. I'm not even we won't even get into that tonight. That's a whole nother hour. Jermaine, I know the tenant buyers make any minor repairs they need, but do you do work for equity deals for the tenant buyers? I don't know that one.
We don't.
No.
We don't. That would be tough for me to consider because I have a background in construction, and somebody might think that they're repainting the house is worth $3,000. I'm going to think it's worth the cost of the paint, etc. So that would be it. Personally, for me, coming from that background, unless they were very good at what they did, I wouldn't see the value.
Yeah. You just don't have to move in. You don't have to move. If you don't have the down payment, you don't have to move in.
Right.
We tell them literally they can do any cosmetic work that they want in the house to make it comfortable. But if you're going to start doing something that involves walls or doors, you need to call us and make sure that you're okay to do that. Any changes have to be run through us.
Michael Polk, for some reason, my software isn't importing my Facebook leads. Or for the ones who break the lease, are you reporting to the credit bureau that they make their payments or didn't make their payments?
No.
No, we don't. We don't do that. Basically, and James covered this earlier, but basically we just make sure that if they're breaking the lease, that they understand how important it is for them to leave the house in good condition. The opportunity to be able to immediately put somebody in that home for us is very valuable. So we don't go through all that with reporting to the credit bureau and all that. Just leave my house the way that you found it.
I do have to add there.
What?
One thing we also say is, of course, we're talking about them actually getting their own mortgage, maybe 2 years from now or 3 years from now, however long we've written that lease for. We do tell them that we'll give them a record of their pay. Their on-time payments.
Right.
So that when they go to get the house, they can show that they've already been living here and that they've already been making on-time payments for this length of time.
Gotcha.
We tell them that we would give that to a lender, but we don't actually report that to anybody else in the credit report.
Yeah. Tammy wants to know, can you share the documents, and is it lease? Is it all in one? Is it a lease? Is the lease, is it all in one? That's what she asked. I'm presuming y'all need to break it down how y'all.
Okay, so what we have is Chris documents. So you can go and get Chris's documents. At least until I put my own together. But the lease is one document, the option is another. So we keep them separate.
You better. I don't want no judge saying you have a mortgage-like instrument.
Right.
Mortgage-like instrument. Did you get that? Who was that? I'm having to click back and forth. Tammy, 2 different documents. You better not be having a lease option only one. I promise you're gonna regret it. If the judge is gonna say that a lease has a security deposit. What do you say about security deposits on a lease option, guys?
Security deposits on a lease option.
Won't do.
We just get the down payment.
Don't got nothing. I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about a security deposit on a lease option.
We get an option fee.
I don't know nothing about it. See, anyway, we gotta bring them over, y'all.
It is that you can't spend. You got to hang on to it in case they move out and they do shine everything up.
Yeah.
It's never really your money.
Miss VSN wants to know: is the house haunted? Why aren't they staying? What are y'all doing to these people?
Oh boy. No, it's just, I think it's really like anything else. It's a numbers game. And, sometimes things just don't work out. We go through enough people, we'll eventually find that person that really will stick in there and purchase the home from us.
Mm-hmm. They sure will. They will, but it ain't up to you to make anybody. My thing is, we won't make nobody do nothing. I can't make nobody buy the house.
Not at all.
Smitty said, "What up, Tony and James?"
Smitty.
Hey, Smitty.
Tell me, Chris, have I tried virtual showings? Well, I guess have you guys tried virtual showings?
Quite a bit of. Go ahead.
I'm not that tech savvy. I would love to, but we haven't gotten there yet. But I think that's something that we'll probably do as we're growing. And of course, once we get into some really higher end properties, then I'm pretty sure that is a tool that we'll utilize.
And I say they have to go walk the house.
Get them out there, right? I
say that because the house is more than the house. It's the drive there,
the feel,
the houses around it, the neighborhood.
The feel.
They've got to get out of that car and say, okay, this is where I want to live.
That feel.
Yeah.
Can't replace it, man. Can't replace that feel, especially if somebody's moving into it. It's not like an investor where I'll just look at some pictures and whatever.
No. And if they have more pictures and I say no, but when would you like to view the house? Nice.
All about the feel. How about taxes? Jermaine wants to know, are you paying taxes for those down payments?
What we do mention for people when they want to know if their payments during the lease are going towards the purchase or the principal, what we tell them is that no, they don't. And the first reason is we don't charge any interest.
Nothing is asking if we pay taxes.
I understand.
Okay.
I understood the question, but that's the only time we mention this. We say that we don't because of interest, and we also say that until you actually get your own mortgage and buy the house, we're responsible for taxes and so forth.
I like that. James, man, where in the world are you? You're like the mad scientist, man. Got some serious comebacks on these people. We can't. What do you want me to do? We're not charging you interest. I'm already doing I'm not charging you any interest. I'm doing you a favor.
That's right. And we're paying your property taxes until you can get in there.
James, you're just too kind to these people. You're too kind, brother. Trevor wants to know, in Florida, do you use a servicing company to collect your leases?
Servicing company to collect.
Do you use a servicing company? Well, how did you collect your rents? Me, I just give them the bank statement. Just take it to the bank.
Right. Just deposit it, please.
JP Gorham, I apologize, man. How do you find the homes that meet subject to requirements? How do you approach the homeowners with your subject to pitch? What is your magic words?
Turn that one over to
I
James.
know James got some
You know it.
NLP on him.
No, I'll tell you what I'm doing is if I'm dealing with a seller directly, I'm going to talk about that I like the home. You know, nobody wants that there. Even if the house is in bad shape, I tell them, you know, that's been their home. They probably have memories there. So one thing I always do when I'm trying to sell something is make sure that I'm not talking down to anybody, even from one level.
Mm-mm.
So I'll say, this is a nice house. I like the layout of this. Let's say it's a terrible house. This is a nice house. I like the layout of this house. This is conveniently located. You can get all over the place from here. Whatever the positives are, I'm going to point those out. Once I've done that and established the fact that I do like the house, that I'm not just making fun of their house, that puts me in position to now talk about what does need to be done to the house, without it sounding like I'm just being negative Nancy about their house.
Yeah.
So once I've established rapport with their house and with them about their house, now it'd be okay for me to say, you know, you don't have really any usable equity here because it's going to probably cost me $20,000 or $30,000 to get this house ready to market.
And you're not telling the story. I mean, you're being. These are facts.
Right, but now it's just about dollars because they already know. I've already said this is a nice place.
You like it.
Right. So you remember they would tell you when you were going through personal development, they would say, kiss, kick, and kiss. Say something nice. If you have to say something mean, say something nice. Deal with what you got to say, and then end it with something nice.
Start off good, yeah. Soften it out.
Same exact thing. I'm gonna make sure they know I approve of them. I approve of the house. I'm not looking down my nose at anything. But then I'm going to say, you know, it is going to cost us a little bit of money just to get this ready to market. So I guess the question is, how fast do you need to move? It looks like you're a couple payments behind on your mortgage, and I think we can get that taken care of. But really, there's just no room to do anything here except get you out of here and let us take over on what we need to do. So that's the conversation with them. Other than that, anytime I talk to a real estate agent, after watching what Tony does, I'm saying the same thing. If you meet somebody who doesn't qualify for bank financing, send them my way. Might be something in it for you. And if I'm talking to a wholesaler or something like that, then I'm going to say, when you find that house that doesn't have any room, when you take it to an investor, call me because I'm looking for those kind of takeovers.
Yeah, good.
That's about it.
Tyler. Oh, he said he just saw your video 3 weeks ago, the original video we had down in North Carolina.
We had fun on that video.
Really did.
It was.
I can't believe that dude's gone. That was really sad.
Yeah. Sad.
2 separate documents. That's right. West Indy Beauty. Hey, can you do a lease option with a Section 8 tenant?
No.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That would be nice. Though, have the government paying the down payment and paying the rent too. That'd be heaven.
It would, but you can't. They don't allow that.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen. West Indy. Sorry.
Run. If
Okay.
Section 8 is involved, they're going to have a lot of rules you don't know about.
Well, I
Not
don't mind.
Not for this program.
Not for that one. That ain't gonna work.
Not for this program.
Touche had a comment. You had a comment earlier. I don't know. Did I miss it?
One of them is if you're doing Section 8, they send an inspector out to make sure the house is all the way gone through. You got to have updated electrical and paint, everything else. You couldn't. Most of the houses we do subject to on would not work for Section 8.
No way. Yeah, that is true. I couldn't imagine trying to do one of the ones like I did, man. They wouldn't even go and walk in the door.
No. On these deals, you want to be the boss. It's you don't want somebody else to come in there and decide they're the boss.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot. Hey, sorry about that. I missed you. What are your opinions regarding lease options for a home that is currently being built? The builder has the contract in place with the subcontractor. Wow, that'd be interesting.
I think that's really going to depend on a lease option
on a new construction, on a new con.
So if you're asking if I would actually do a lease option on new construction,
that's tough.
Yeah, I mean that's if you're talking about me purchasing the home that way,
maybe.
But if you're talking about us selling the home that way, that's going to depend on how we're holding the note.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. If you had to buy it, you would buy it and then sell it to a owner occupant, I guess. Is that what you're thinking? Get it under contract then,
Yes,
because then the end buyer has to qualify for the loan eventually.
it's not. I'm sorry, Trisha, it's not very clear. Your question.
Yeah, that'd be a little rough. Sorry about that. One more when we get you out of here. The lease option, D-Storm. The lease option house that you own that you find potential tenant. I don't understand that one. I'm sorry. Guys, y'all got to be a little more clear with your questions.
The lease option, is that, I think he means, is that a house that you own that you find potential tenants?
Yeah, let's answer it like that.
Yeah, the lease option is
You
so
own the house.
the home is a property that we purchase subject to the existing mortgage being in place. The lease option is where we actually find a tenant buyer for that home. So that's a tenant that plans on buying that home, and they have to come with the down payment.
Yeah. All right, guys. No more questions here. What's your final thoughts on your lease options here? What can you help my rounduppers to pull them on over to the side, to the right side of investing the right way?
Well, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. Landlording is a lot of work.
Especially if the rent ain't coming in, right?
Right. And so with the lease options, you don't have people calling you about the toilets, little leaks, all those calls that you would typically get from a traditional renter. We're not right. We're not getting up in the middle of the night, running over to the house because something's not working. None of that. These people understand that they're preparing themselves for home ownership, and they have to. And we're the bank. They have to treat us like we're the bank. You get a bank loan to purchase a home. You're not going to call the bank when your toilet breaks, or even if you got a leak under your kitchen sink, you're not going to call the bank.
Different mindset.
Totally different mindset.
James, what do you think? What's your final thoughts from my rounduppers that for lease options?
I agree with everything Tony said, first of all. My final thoughts on this is that we have probably more opportunity right now, especially out here in Las Vegas, which is why we're already in contact with a lot of key people. I believe what's getting ready to happen, we're going to have an election, we're going to have an economy that needs to bounce back, but I don't think it's going to bounce back fast enough to save a lot of people that were a little tight on their mortgage in the first place. And what I think we're going to have is probably, some people are calling it a tsunami of foreclosures.
Oh, man.
So where I'm at on this is we need to be talking to everybody that we can right now to say, if you know somebody who's going to lose their house, we might be willing to step in on that mortgage. I mean, that's a conversation we should all be having with people all day long right now, because 2 or 3 years from now, this economy will start to recover. But in the meantime, a lot of people will lose their houses to banks, and those banks are then, let's look at what's going to happen to them. First of all, that person is going to lose their credit. They're going to have a foreclosure on their record.
Good point.
In some cases, they're not going to be able to buy another house. Their credit's going to be all the way in the toilet, so to speak. If we step in and we put somebody else in place and we catch that mortgage up and we keep making that mortgage every month, we're actually not just keeping them from losing their credit, we're actually building their credit every month that we service that mortgage that is still in their name.
Good point.
So a good product we're not just going to take over their house and take over their payment. We're actually going to help their credit. If they get in a spot where they relocate and they want to buy another house, we can show a financial institution again that we're the ones that are handling that payment every month, not them. And they can take that off of their income to debt ratio.
Good point.
I think it's perfect program right now. I think it's timely. And I think people that realize what's getting ready to happen and they step up are going to be the millionaires in 2 years. And the people who kind of like sit around watching the news all day to see, which candidates in front of whom and everything else, all that garbage that's on there. The whole thing's turned into kind of a big trash can fire, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think where we really need to be is we need to be in front of people that are going to lose their houses, and we need to be spreading our message to everybody. Anybody at any time who's doing great could lose their job and find themselves unable to service their mortgage. And at some point that bank is going to step in and total their credit. Even though they've worked hard on getting those mortgage payments month after month, that bank has no heart, has no conscience. So all we're doing is we're stepping in before the bank grabs that asset, and we're saving one person from imminent doom from that bank. And then we're finding somebody else who really does want to live in that house, and they're willing to put some of their own money down to live in there. I mean, I'm not trying to paint it with too much of a Robin Hood brush or anything like that, but what we do is actually pretty respectable.
Once you're able to explain it in the right way, as opposed to thinking that you're just taking something from somebody, you're providing a solution that probably, when I buy them, I'm the only guy. It's almost like you're one of few people that can even do this stuff.
Yes.
And
everybody has somebody they know that would love to move into a house if they could qualify for it. And we're saying the only thing that you're going to qualify for in our case is you're going to have some kind of a sizable down payment.
That's it.
Once you do that, you can stop throwing your money away on rent.
I love it. I'm about to use that one, man. All right, let me get to this baby. He's in here. Round up. Thank you so much. Like the content, share it with anybody else that's doing conventional rentals so you can be like Tony and James. No repairs or very little repairs. Getting down payments and selling the same house over. It happens, y'all. I want it to happen for all my round up homies, right? Just like you guys. I'm so excited for y'all. You guys are smiling. I love it. You guys, I feel the energy.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Roundup family.
Thank you, guys.
All right. See y'all soon. Talk to you. All right, Tony. Peace.
Bye-bye.